Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Sports Talk with Eddie. What is going on? It's got a lot to get into in today's episode. We're gonna get into a little bit of football. We're gonna talk about baseball. I also, as the NBA season sort of progresses, I want to get people's dialogue as far as how comfortable they are with the current state as far as the Knicks and Nets roster. So let's see if we can get some calls in for that. And ultimately, it's just amazing how one week can just change. And as far as New York sports go, but we're gonna get into some football right now. And yesterday, the New York Jets made a couple of trades. They got Jawan Riggs from the Cleveland Browns. They traded 2026 seventh round pick, and they also received a 2027 pick. And they also got Harrison Phillips. They got Harrison Phillips and a 2027 seventh round pick, and the Vikings will receive picks in the sixth round, both 2026 and in 2027. Now, this is the exact thing that I was talking about a couple of weeks ago as far as the Jets investing in both sides of the football, as far as offensively and defensively. Now, these are not the prototypical sexy names that you would find or think of when it comes to making marquee trades, but again, it adds depth, which is something that the Jets struggle within that particular position. I mean, when you think of defensive tackle, you think of obviously Quentin Williams, which is arguably their, if not their best defensive player, close to it. You can slice and dice it between him and Sauce Gardner. But Jawan Riggs, young guy, I believe he's 23 years old. He was drafted last year by the Browns. The book is still pretty much open on him. Again, he doesn't have that much NFL service. He's a guy. I think he'll be 24 in next month. So there's the potential upside from them. It's a big body. Uh, really good against the run, and that's exactly what really decimated the Jets defense last year was trying to defend the run. So you get a guy like that, which creates depth for Quentin Williams, and it also pretty much indicates to Jets fans that one of the defensive tackle Coward, he's going to be out for a while. And then you come in and reel in Phillips. Phillips, a little more of a veteran. He's been around for a couple of years, playing for the Minnesota Vikings. You add him into the mix, and now you are able to have that depth as far as shuffling the front four if you are the New York Jets. So definitely like what the Jets are doing. This definitely seems like a Aaron Glenn type of move when it comes to fortifying the defense. And we'll see just exactly how this impacts. But again, if you can give Quentin Williams a few snaps off, I think Quentin Williams is the guy that's probably going to end up playing when healthy, close to 90% of the snaps. But what this allows to give them the depth to give him a few snaps off and keep him fresh for those big time fourth quarter games that hopefully the Jets will be into. So will be interested. It'll be very interesting to see how that ultimately folds. I believe this week is the ending of preseason. I'm so glad that they went to like a 3 game format because I'm telling you, I watched like the first couple minutes of preseason and then it's just, I mean, it's good if you're like me. I wouldn't mind watching. Although I'll struggle with it, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't mind watching a full preseason game because you'll have those potential standouts that you'll see, and hopefully be like, you know what, this could be someone that the Jets will look to at least fortify their offense or defense. So it's going to be very interesting to see just exactly what we got to remember. This is August, so there's still going to be some depth chart moves. There's still going to be some potential additions and subtractions and cuts and things of that nature. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what this Jets team looked like. I mean, listen, I said it in last week's uh, episode, and I was actually speaking to a cousin of mine, and he was like, "You're insane." When I said that, if the Jets and Giants, for that matter, play their type of football, play their brand of football, I don't see, I don't see why they can't make the playoffs. I don't see why they can't make the playoffs. Again, there's a lot of question marks going on as far as the Commanders and the Cowboys go. Obviously, when you're talking about the East, as far as that particular division, of course, you got to think about the Philadelphia Eagles. They're the defending champion and whatnot, so they're gonna be there. It's gonna be very interesting to see whether they'll get a healthy Jalen Hurts and whether they could run it back the same way they did last year, as far as the success they had during the season. But that division, again, like I said last week, is one of the most. If these teams all function the way that we expect them to function, it's going to be one of the most toughest divisions in football, in my opinion. So I'm glad that the Giants, for the most part, look promising. There's also reports that general manager Darren Mogi is looking to shop for a wide receiver. Now, obviously, if you're looking for something on the lower market, somebody that's probably out there, I guess the name Amari Cooper stands out. There's a lot of mileage and there's a lot of concerns when it comes to health. When it comes to Cooper, when he's on, yes, he is really, really good. He has the potential of being really, really good. He showed that with his stops at Cleveland and for the most part in Dallas. But the guy I'm looking for, and if they can find a way, listen, if you see these trades and these teams get these marquee players like DeAndre Hopkins, or Adams and so forth, dish out a second or third round pick just to get a receiver that can make impact within that roster, and not only the roster, perhaps the locker room as well. And Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins still have some good football in them, in my opinion. So it's going to be interesting to see how Hopkins does his second year with his new team, and ultimately how excuse me, how Hopkins does and how Devontae Adams does with the Los Angeles Rams. So that's going to be really interesting to see how those two unfold. The name I'm looking for when it comes to the Jets, as far as a potential trade, is Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, not again, same situation as far as the DTs that the Jets just got. He's sort of becoming that attractable name that we're starting to know. It's not the most sexiest name out on the market, but this man can catch the ball. And obviously, you want to at least exclude some of those double teams that Garrett Wilson is potentially going to get. We still don't know as far as Alan Lazard, as far as his health goes. There was reports that he left practice with a leg injury. So from what I'm hearing, it's not as severe as was once feared. So that's obviously a good thing if you are the New York Jets, who are pretty much thin as far as the receiving corps. But if Daryl Mooney could find a way, I don't know if it's maybe a third rounder. Listen, give him a third round pick, 2026 or 2027 or something like that. If it's two number three or number three and a number six that can get you a guy of that caliber, and now on both corners you have Garrett Wilson and you have Terry McLaurin, that is going to bring a lot of noise and a lot of firepower to that offense. So I'm totally stoked for it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Daryl Morgie, you gotta prove us. You gotta make some noise. You gotta shake things up a little bit. If you want to solidify yourself as a guy that's out there and show Jet fans that you're really serious about winning, something that we haven't seen since 2010, make this move. If the Commanders decide to put McLaurin on the market, obviously he hasn't been in training camp. There's been issues as far as contractual situations and things of that nature. But again, he's still in the midst of his prime. This is a guy that can probably catch you 80 catches within the year, maybe a little bit more. But he's explosive. He's a exceptional route runner, and again, he's got hands for days. So you put him aside, alongside Garrett Wilson, that is definitely something to be really, really excited about if you are a Jet fan. So, man, I'm happy, man. Got up this morning, nice crisp fall weather. I'm a little sad because I am a summer baby, and I'm hoping to at least get one more pool day. As far as a New York City pool day, I haven't gone to the pool nor the beach. I think in New York City, I did go in St. Lucia, but sometimes you want to squeeze out the summer a little bit and have a little end of the summer fun. So hopefully I'll be able to get to do that. But you know, you have a weather like this morning, it just tells you, to me, after Labor Day, that's when it tells me, football is around the corner. So if I'm ever pulling what's left of my hair because of the Yankees, I'm like, you know what? Well, I could probably look forward to some Jet football, even though I've been having my head down for that for the past 15 years. But you gotta stick to your guns. You gotta stick to your team, win or lose. And I'm this is actually I was actually telling my brother this. I actually got to spend some time with my brother over in Atlantic City over the weekend. Nice little getaway. But I told him, I said, this is probably the first time since the Mark Sanchez era where I'm actually excited about Jets football. I just feel like this team needed a new identity. This team needed a fresh start as far as what was going on in the front office, what perhaps was not going on in the locker room. So as soon as Aaron Glenn and Darren Morgan could, find this identity as far as what this team is going to be, from the looks of what I've seen so far in the two preseason games, it looks like a very, very aggressive and really mean defense. That's what I got when I looked at this defense. Just raw and a mean defense. And again, when it comes to the Jets, as far as offensively and defensively, at least within the past 5 years, it's been health. Um, I feel like they have enough talent to at least make a little noise. I'm not sure about a potential deep playoff run, but I do believe if Miami sort of struggles out the gates and whatnot, I do think alongside with the Jets that New England is going to be better. I think the Jets can find a way to squeeze in there. I really do. Obviously, and then that within that division, as far as the AFC East, the cream of the crop is the Buffalo Bills, and it probably will be Buffalo Bills until Josh Allen, for some reason, decides he can't throw a football anymore. They're just that good, and they're probably gonna along with the Chiefs, are probably going to be the two teams that hold the chips on the table as far as the AFC in its entirety. So definitely excited and definitely pumped about what the potential season could be for the New York Jets. And I do like the trades that they made yesterday. And hopefully there's more trades in the horizon. Obviously, I would be so excited if they make that one trade that I just discussed as far as acquiring Terry McLaurin. But we'll see. At the end of the day, they don't want to make the trades. I'm just a fan here, bringing out the news and giving Jet fans out there that is tuning in hope. So uh, we'll see what happens. But listen, ladies and gents, we're 3 weeks away from the NFL football season. I'm excited to see these primetime games. I'm excited to see these color rush jerseys. And I know there's a few teams that's bringing back these throwback jerseys. I know Tampa Bay's coming back out with the creamsicle jerseys, which is probably one of my top five favorite jerseys of all time. So I'm excited. I'm excited to just have that excitement, that raw the crowd whenever you go to a football game, whenever you sit down and watch a football game, especially Monday Night Football. So I'm looking to have no more boring Sundays. So I have probably 3 boring Sundays to go. So let's get it. We're gonna head into baseball, and listen, I'm not saying that I was responsible for it. But if it takes me and other Yankee fans out there to go on a rant like I did last week and to have this result, it might just be worth it. It might just be worth it because not only are the Yankees doing good, the Mets are doing good so far. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but since I left here last week, there's been an improvement as far as both baseball teams go. As far as the New York Mets, seems like the bats have awakened. As far as pitching production, it's been a little bit better. Soto looks like he's getting out the schneid a little bit, and then you got hitters like Mark Vientos. Listen, I know it hasn't been the year that Met fans expect from Mark Vientos, but again, he was pretty much injury prone most of the year. And when you're coming back from an injury, it's so many steps. You got to deal with the program, whether it's a throwing program or a running program, depending on what type of injury you have. So that takes a time as far as like ramping up and getting ready. Because listen, I don't care how much you go out there and practice and stuff like that. At the end of the day, practicing and being in an in-game situation, as far as like the tempo, as far as the adrenaline, is two totally different things. So I do believe Mark Vientos is a stud. I do believe that I wouldn't go as far as saying that he's going to be David Rice's successor, but I do believe there's some potential upside with this guy. He's still rather young. Listen, he hit 27 bombs for a reason. You can't fake that. You can't fake that. So if yesterday indicated anything as far as what this Mets offense is capable of, with a resurgence of Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor had a couple of hits in last night's ball game. So again, you have the nucleus within this offense. That's the top of your order in this entirety. You got Lindor, you got Polar Bear Pete, you got Vientos. Brett Beatty, excuse me, is swinging and a very, very impressive bat. So, you got some pieces to work with. It's all about solidifying the lineup correctly and stuff like that. Whether you do right, or left, the right. I've always been a big fan of the righty, lefty. It sort of gives the opposing pitcher, whether it's lefty or righty, a different look as far as who they face. Obviously, you want to get as much right-handers in if you're going against a lefty. But listen, whatever's working, the Mets just have to keep it going. I think, and I said it on last week's program, the Mets and the Yankees, as far as their team and as far as what they're going through and what we have seen, it's so it's so surreal how similar they are as far as their offense, because you have their struggles in offense, and you have some potential all stars and perhaps Hall of Famers within that lineup. So hitting has never been the question for these teams, especially the Mets. Hitting has never been the question. It's all about whether they can get this in a consistent manner and whether their starting pitching will be able to hold up. Obviously, they've been decimated with injuries as far as the pitching department, and for the most part with the offense. I just told you about the Mark Vientos injury and how he's working his way back to the starting lineup. So again, they took 2 out of 3 from a really gritty Seattle Mariners team. The Mariners team that's actually in the midst for one of the AL wildcard spots. So it's not like a scrub team that they just went and just took 2 out of 3. This is the team that was really good last year, has some potential this year. So for the Mets to go out there and take 2 out of 3 was really impressive, because I think before that they lost 14 out of their last 16 games. So it was just it was as gloom as the darkness that it is outside right now. So definitely something for Met fans to look at. Um, but you ultimately have to take care of business when it comes to the in-house teams, and obviously the in-house teams are the divisional opponents. Atlanta has been decimated with injuries, both offensively and defensively is out as well. I believe the Mets will see Atlanta this coming Friday, so you have to take care of business as far as the Atlantas is in the world of the world. Philadelphia just lost Wheeler, which is a huge loss because even at 35, he was just pitching lights out. So we'll see how the Phillies recover from that. And the Marlins, who are not the Marlins of old, although I don't see them making a strong playoff push, but I mean they swept the Yankees a couple of weeks back. So this team is definitely gonna, if they draft correctly and if they're able. I think we're so difficult for a team like Miami as far as the market being so small. Is it's very hard to lure in certain teams as far as bringing in the big fish to come and play for the Marlins. As you've seen without the years, they had some pretty good studs. I think they had Christian Yelich. Obviously, they had John Carlos Stanton, who's now with the Yankees. They had Jazz Chisholm. I know there's a name that's floating around that I'm missing, but they had some pretty good teams flirting around with. So the Marlins I would say within the next 2 or 3 years, if they continue to draft and develop their players correctly, they could be. I wouldn't say a force. I think that's when you put that word force in sports terms, it sometimes could be a little bit exaggerated. But as far as contending for a playoff spot, perhaps a wild card, I don't see why not. But the point being is that the Mets, between both the Mets and the Yankees, you have to really look at every game moving forward as a playoff game. Again, if the playoffs ended today, they will probably both be in the wild card spots, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, I think the Mets are in the middle or hold the top spot in the as far as the offense goes. Excuse me, as far as the wild card goes, and I think the Yankees with Seattle and Boston on current loser streaks have gotten towards the top of the AL of the American League wild card. So we're gonna take a phone call right now, hit the lines, and see what's going on. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Sports Talk.
Hey, good afternoon. How about those Knicks?
I know this voice, ladies and gentlemen. It's been about almost 10 weeks in this program, and I've been begging and pleading for this man to call. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring him out to light. We're gonna call him Big Ed, but in my house and in my heart, I call him Dad. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome my dad into the program. What's going
All
on?
right. What's going on? Listen, we all want to know what's going to happen with the Knicks this year.
Well, let me ask you a question with a question. What do you think there's gonna happen to the Knicks? You know what? I'll go first. I'll go. So obviously, me and you, we go back and forth. Obviously, with the Tom Thibodeau firing, which I still think, I guess, as time went by, I see why they did what they did. I was pretty fired up about it when they first did it, but Mike Brown's resume is a really good one. This is a guy who has won 4 championships as an assistant with the Warriors. He's coached LeBron James, and he's turned around that Sacramento Kings program. Now, that for the most part, me and you, we pretty much watched the entire playoffs. Yes, guys, I'm a Net fan, but the guy had me watching Knicks playoffs all year last year. I'll be honest with you guys. I'll be honest with you guys. And you gotta go. You gotta go with the old man likes. So I see it like this.
Oh, man.
Obviously, hey, come on. It's all love at the end of the day, Dad. So I see it like this. Obviously, we saw the game where Jason Tatum went out with the injury. He's going to be out for this coming year. And then the second to last game, we saw Halliburton take out his Achilles injury. So to me, if you ask me, and maybe this is a law, I can't even say that it's something that is irrational or something that's realistic because of these injuries. There's no reason why this can't happen. I got the Knicks in the NBA Finals next year, and I'll tell you why. With those 2 injuries, with those 2 teams, when you go into the playoffs, outside of Detroit, maybe Atlanta because Atlanta got a little bit better. It's an open field for them to make it. If they stay healthy, it's an open field for them to make it. I got Jalen Brunson I think Jalen Brunson is probably going to be top three as far as an MVP candidate. I think he's going to be fired up as far as them the Knicks bringing in this new coach and whatnot. And again, you don't want to use the word take advantage as far as sporting terms, but at the end of the day, this is kind of like an advantage that the Knicks have to take as far as the Pacers not being 100%, which would probably be a team that the Knicks would see in the playoffs. And so is Boston with Tatum being out. Tatum is the cream of the crop as far as that basketball team goes, and it remains uncertain whether Jalen Brunson will be able to take over that team. So there's no reason why they can't make the finals. You let me know if you agree or disagree.
I agree, but we as New Yorkers, we want winners. Okay, and that's what happened the last time. That's the why one of the reasons the coach got fired, because we don't want no losers. We want winners. So I think they have a very great opportunity to really make it up there this season. And we all gonna root for the Knicks. I mean, we New Yorkers. We're gonna take care of our own.
All right. So what you're saying is that you got them in the finals.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I got them in the finals.
Okay. So let me give you another hard question.
I also think that they should make a couple of changes as far as some of the players. At least get new blood in there. So we can. With the same crew, I don't know, but we need new blood in there. So we can make it up there.
All right. Well, let me go over the two new names that they did get, and hopefully that's to your liking. So they got this Frenchman from Philadelphia. His name is Yershon Yabusele. So we all seen what Mitchell Robinson did as far as the rebounding and stuff like that, and how crucial his rebounding was for this New York team. So Yabusele, he's pretty much. I'm not gonna say he's the same thing as far as rebounding, but he has the ability to score points, and he has the ability to play defense. And for that Philadelphia team, he was a really important piece to that Philadelphia team. So you're bringing in a guy like that who you can bring off the bench to, you know, give Carl Anthony Towns and Robinson some rest and could be productive as he was in Philadelphia. That fits right in. Another player that they got was Jordan Clarkson. Now, Jordan Clarkson, he's been a very solid player throughout his NBA career when he started in the Lakers. Um, he's played more of a bench role of recent, but if you look at how much points that he scored within the bench, he scored over 3,600 points within the past couple of seasons, and I believe that's number one in the NBA. So again, when the last time me and you had this talk, I said they needed somebody to back up Brunson. They can go ahead and switch between Hart and Robinson.
And I agree with you.
So I think that's going to be.
Can't do it all alone.
That is true. So I think if you get Clarkson and Yabusele, those are good fits. I do think they need to bring in somebody else just to purify the roster. Ben Simmons names has been thrown there. I've also heard Malcolm Brogdon. I also heard Russell Westbrook. So again, this team is not a full course meal just yet. It's getting there, but it's not full. So we got to see what this is going on. But I'm telling you now, health permitting, there is no damn excuse why this team cannot make the finals.
Oh,
No
absolutely.
excuse whatsoever.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. I mean, we all hope that they're gonna make it to the finals. Which they really should. I mean, I don't see no reason why. Let's see how they're gonna do this year. Let's see about the new players that they got, and we're gonna see.
Well, again, the teams, obviously we're excluding Indiana and Milwaukee, but the teams that I think that could probably give them a run for their money. Again, Atlanta did some good stuff during the offseason. They got in good players. Obviously, that team is solidified by Trae Young. However, as good as Trae Young is as far as this team, that particular team is going to go. Obviously, we've seen. We pretty much watched the entire Detroit series, and we both said, "Man, Detroit is good," especially with Kate Cunningham, just scoring at will. So, and I believe because of the youth of that team, they're only going to get better. So, if you really ask me, maybe Milwaukee. We all got to see what happens with Milwaukee, because there's been a lot of rumors about Giannis coming to the Big Apple. We'll see if there's any volume to that. I doubt it, but you got Milwaukee and you got Detroit. So I think if there's any team that's gonna give the Knicks for the a run for the money as far as their quest to the playoff to the finals, will probably be those two teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Like I said, we're rooting for the Knicks. I enjoy watching them play. So we'll see what happens.
All right, one more question before I let you go. So, obviously, you've worked at Madison Square Garden. What was it? About 10 years or something like that in the early 2000s.
Yeah, about 11, 12 years.
Okay, so you've watched, and I'm assuming, obviously with the work you had to do, you had some significant time to actually sit down and watch the basketball game. Now, obviously, it's different as far as telling how the atmosphere was as far as watching it home as opposed to actually being there. But if you were to go back to that energy that you witnessed firsthand being an employee from Madison Square Garden, as opposed to watching the playoffs this past year, in your opinion, was there any significant difference?
Oh, absolutely. There was a difference. I don't think the Knicks at that time was as good as they are right now. I think they're playing way better than they were before. So, definitely watching the Knicks now and seeing the Knicks back then, I mean, pretty much, all the games, well, I'm not going to say all the games, but they used to lose a hell of a lot of games at that time.
Right.
But it's a different atmosphere right now. So I think the Knicks got a great opportunity to make it up there.
All right. Good stuff. Listen, Dad, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk.
We'll talk. I'll see you later.
All right.
Good conversation.
Thank you. All is good as well. That's insane. I just had my dad call into the show. I'm sorry, but it's just you know what I'm saying. I'm my father's son, so I'm a big. I guess you could say I'm a daddy's boy and whatnot. I'm not afraid to admit it. I love the hell out of my dad. He's got a birthday coming up, so I definitely got to do it nice. He's been a Nick fan, just so the viewers can know that this is not fabricated energy. This man has been a Nick fan for as long as I've been. He worked from Madison Square Garden about 10 years. So did my late uncle, and listen, he was there for the dog days. So I think it was a greater appreciation for him to sit down and just see the atmosphere and the culture that's ultimately has been in Madison Square Garden right now. So it's one thing for me to sit down as a basketball fan and watch it for him, but I think it's in another upper echelon for him to witness what he has witnessed and to actually have that. I mean, listen, I've never seen a man enjoy watching basketball as he did last year. So shout out to the Knicks for bringing my dad some joy. So definitely cool. I'm definitely stoked that he called. So I've been nagging him, but he's a little bit on the shy side when he wants to. But it was definitely cool to just have him call in. So we're gonna get into some baseball. And again, did I not say it? Did I not say that Boone has to follow the Castro formula? Did I not say that? So we talked about the Mets before we got the call, and we talked about the Mets and how potentially good that they can be. I still have them making the playoffs, by the way, and I'm still going to stay exactly what I said from the beginning of the baseball year. I think there's going to be a Subway Series this year. It may be erratic as far as the erratic that we've seen from both teams, but at this point, I got two hands and 2 feet in the swimming pool, so I gotta stick to my prediction, and hopefully neither team makes me look so bad. But the Yankees, since I had this rant on air, have won Six of the last seven games. Took two out of three against the Minnesota Twins. One game I was there. I think it was obviously well. Ironically, I went to the game that they weren't able to get the W, and that was an hour and 52-minute rain delay. Shout out to my fiance for staying there and being patient with me through the rain delay and whatnot. But as long as you give her her water and some chicken fingers, all is well is in the world. All is well. But yeah, so they won two out of three against Minnesota. They swept the St. Louis Cardinals, and in recent memory, the Yankees sort of struggle against those, NL East, NL Central teams in the past. So it was good for them to ultimately see them play good baseball and sort of I don't want to say reset because again I don't want to get my hopes up and then I go home today and I'm watching them and I'm watching just a frown like game as they play Boston. Big 4 game series tonight at Yankee Stadium. I think the starters for tonight's game is Luis Hill going up against Lucas Giolito. So that's going to be that place is going to be rocking. I'm definitely going to see if I can go and scoop me up a ticket at least for one of those games. I definitely listen, guys. If you haven't been to a baseball game and you're all about rivalries and things of that nature, you know, Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees. You got Mets and Phillies. There's honestly Yankees and Astros. There's nothing like going to those particular games. I mean, going to a baseball game period is just an amazing adventure and just an amazing experience. But those games and those rivalries in particular just brings it up to another upper echelon. So yeah, definitely excited about that. They also took 2 games in Tampa. And they hit a total of 14 home runs in those 2 games. That first game was it almost seemed like it was home run derby. No pun intended to the excuse me. Wow. We're good. No pun intended to the Tampa Bay Rays, but the Yankees. Listen, the offense was never the question about this Yankee team. I don't know how many times I'm going to continue to say that. Offense is never an issue. It's all about it. It's kind of like, all right, let's say you have this machine, and I don't know, let's say this machine does wonders. Like, I don't know, and it's an old machine, not to call the roster old and whatnot. You got a few youth players there, you got a mixture of youth players there, you got some veterans there, but to take a generator, sometimes you gotta like, ring it up a couple of times until you get that nice spot where it actually works and works the way it's supposed to. So I think that's what it was for this current Yankee team. For some reason they had the generating button off as far as the offense goes. They still lead the major league in home runs, but it just hasn't been consistent. You were either getting two things. You were either getting good offense, no pitching support. You were getting good pitching support, but no offense. And it's kind of hard to win games like that because you don't want to burn out your bullpen. Bullpens nowadays is so underrated in the game of baseball and so important. It is important for these starters to at least give you, to me, I like to say 6, even though nowadays starting pitchers go up to 5, but quality starts, in my opinion, is 6 and up. So I'm liking what I'm seeing for this Yankee team. They are finally looking like they're having fun, and again, this is the same identical, almost the same exact roster that went to the 2024 World Series, minus Garrett Cole, minus Juan Soto. Now, again, I understand that Detroit is better than they were last year. For the most part, Toronto got better. Boston got better. And obviously, when you talk about the American League and the Yankees, you got to talk about Houston. And again, as I mentioned, Seattle is in the mix. So there are some good teams that improved from last year, but I don't think as far as player, because listen, it's a different atmosphere. You play totally different. As far as a playoff Yankee team, when they're flying on all cylinders the way they are now, I don't think anybody in the American League East could touch the Yankees. And this is me, this is unbiased. This is my unbiased opinion. This is what I truly and genuinely believe. You know, again, I'm not a Met fan at all. My brother's a Met fan, and I just like that their roster is so good as far as offensively goes. But like the Yankees, it all comes down to pitching. And again, as I reiterated a little while ago, Garrett Cole, huge blow. Clark Smith, huge blow to that rotation. But you know, Cam Schlittler was a guy that, I'll be honest with you, I really didn't do much of homework on him. I had other pictures and other players that I was obviously doing my homework on, but this guy had a perfect game through 6 innings yesterday. He's thrown, I think there's a statistic that he's thrown over 30 pitches of 98 plus mile per hour, was the fastest pitch that's been thrown by a Yankee all year. That's insane. That's insane. And you got Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge. Obviously, we know that he's been struggling of late as far as coming back from the elbow injury. But it's sort of looks. I don't want to jinx it, and then he goes like, oh, for like, well, God, I'm not even gonna say it because it seems like when I say things, for some reason, I guess it's this superstitious thing to me where it sort of comes into fruition, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna jinx him like that. So I'm just gonna keep that and just hope that he continues to swing the bat. So obviously he's coming around with the bat. And can we say much about the play of John Carlos Stanton? I mean, this guy is insane. He's 35 years old. Obviously, as from an athletic standpoint, he's not the player that he once was. He was a guy that would steal you a couple of bases here and there. Was a pretty decent right fielder and whatnot, but the power is still there. The consistency, for the most part, is still there. It's with him. It's always been all health. When he is right, he's to this day he's still one of the most dangerous hitters in the league, and he's showing that. I think he has a 315 batting average. I think he's got about 12 home runs since he has come back from the injured list. And if the Yankees are poised to make a deep playoff run, a similar playoff run as they did last year, he is going to be vital to their offensive success. And I think any true Yankee fan, even if you're a casual fan and have watched a couple of games, and those games you just happen to see John Carlos Stanton hit a home run, that will tell you this how important and how vital John Carlos Stanton is to the Yankee offense. So again, good stuff we've been seeing from the New York Yankees. Um, I'm just sometimes, you ever hear the phrase that sometimes you gotta listen to your audience. I feel like I hear that all the time and whatnot. And I'm pretty sure that I wasn't the one that hopped on a podcast and told them, hey, well, you should construe the roster like this, like that, and have Bednar as closer and stuff like that. And you got Camilo Duvall there. Tim Hill is coming back. You got reinforcements on the way as far as the bullpen goes, with Fernando Cruz coming. I think he threw a session yesterday down at Somerset. He threw 1 inning. Yarborough. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do with Ryan Yarborough. I would assume that he will be their long relief man. For the time being, it was Brent Hedrick, but Hedrick just went on the injured list. I think a couple of days ago. I think was I at that game? I'm not sure, but he got hit. He got hit with a pitch on his forearm, and they took MRIs. Obviously, everything was okay. There was nothing reported as far as any structural damage, as far as any breaks or any thing of that nature. But he, from the reports that I read, he just wasn't right. So I think this is more of a precautionary move for the Yankees to do. So it'll be interesting to see who they throw out there. And then you got Yuri De Los Santos, who for the most part has pitched pretty well for the Yankees, surprisingly. So I think what they're going to do is obviously when you have a lot of pitching, you got to be able to send somebody down. We'll see what decisions the Yankees make moving forward as far as when September comes around. Yarborough pitched 3 innings and he threw 53 pitches. So is that going to be the minimum that the Yankees are looking to build him up, or do they plan to build him up more to make a starter too? Uh, I don't know. Obviously, the Yankees have been decimated by injury, but they have a pretty good, decent. I want to say decent. I don't want to get out the way and say, they're pretty good or whatever. I mean, this, in my opinion, was probably going to be one of the top five as far as on paper goes. Because at the end of the day, you still gotta go out there. You still have to perform. But if you really look at what this team could have looked like on paper, obviously you could pencil Gary Cole as the number one starter. Max Free will probably be behind him. I know essentially if we're talking on paper, you would put in Rodon at three, but again, I'm really into that righty lefty righty format. So I would probably put if I had to start a playoff game, it would probably be difficult because I'll probably say today Heel and tomorrow Rodon, but however you want to do it, Rodon three and Heel four, and then potentially you would assume that Clark Smith would have been five, and then you have the emergence of Will Warren. Will Warren, for the most part, has been probably the Yankees' best pitcher. I want to say the past few weeks. Max Fried has an ERA over 7 his past 5 starts, and to me, he just really hasn't seemed right since the issue that he had with the blister on his throwing arm. Now, I don't recall me having a blister. It's been some time, but I would assume as far as pitching and gripping and throwing certain pitches where you have to really dig in with the fingertips and things of that nature, it's very hard to throw a baseball. There's no indication from the reports that I've come across or the sources that I have about him about that being a potential bother to him still. I'm assuming that it is because he just doesn't seem. This is not the Max Fried that we saw in the first half. Now, obviously, the first thing we can all say is fatigue. Every picture hits a wall, but this guy has, when he's healthy, has been a workhorse for the most part. So I think we could kind of sort of. I feel like that's the easy way out to say things when somebody is struggling, and obviously injuries are a part of the game. But it's not promising when you see arguably your ace pitchers struggle. But it's also a good problem to have when you have players like a Schlittler and a Will Warren to ultimately step up for this Yankee rotation. So we'll see how that comes about. But I think that will probably be the playoff format if you're going to do a 5 game series. I think a 5 game series is the first round, or is it a 7 game series? I'm not quite sure. It seems like it changes up every year to me. But yeah, obviously Max Free will be your number one picture going into the playoffs right now. Hopefully, whatever's going on with the blister and the throwing picture that gets sorted out because we can't have the Max Free that has pitched to over 7 ERA in the past 5 starts. We just can't have that. We just can't. The Yankees, as far as their erratic performance has been throughout the course of the year, it's not going to last, especially if you don't have hitting. But for the most part, at least for the past 5 games, they are getting that timely hitting. So that's definitely something Yankee fans could be hopeful of. So, but yeah, this is a crucial series for the Yankees to win. Um, the fan of me is saying that they have to just kick the Red Sox ass, which I always admire. Beating up the Red Sox every year, every opportunity we get. Obviously, in years past, they've gotten best of us too. But I think the initial want within this particular series is to take 3 out of 4. And the Red Sox are not coming in as hot as they once did. I believe they're currently on a 3 game losing streak. Where the Yankees, as I reiterated earlier in the program, have won 6 of their last 7. So I'm not gonna say they're flying on all cylinders, although everything looks pretty damn good right now. But they just gotta keep fighting. They just gotta keep hacking out there, and just get these consistent offense, and that's going to be such a necessity for this Yankee team moving forward, as far as getting consistent on the offensive side, because you just don't know what you're gonna get from their starters. Obviously the bullpen. You look at the names and look at on paper. This is a really good bullpen. It's definitely a lot better than what we had to begin the season. You got Mark Leiter Jr. there. Like I said a little while ago, Fernando Cruz should be on his way back. That's a guy that you could put perhaps in multiple innings if need be. Ryan Yarbrough could be a potential long man out of the bullpen, or you could spot him up as a starter here and there or whatnot. So that should be very interesting to see what manager Aaron Boone does as far as making those decisions. So he has about a month or so. I think we are 28, 27 games in for the regular season. It could be less like that. I have to check the schedule. But this is such a crucial series for the Yankees to win. I feel like it's so crucial that obviously if they lose a series, it'll be unacceptable, and it'll be the same song that Yankee fans has been hearing. Oh well, this is the reality. Oh, that's the Yankee team that I know. But again, this roster has the potential of being good. It's really good. You know, you got Bellinger who's hitting over 270, and if you just subtract the April, Bellinger's an all star. Honestly speaking, this is unbiased. I want to reiterate that this is unbiased. But if you check out the numbers and you say, let's say he has, let's say he had in July what he in April what he had in July. You're looking about a 280, 285, maybe close to 30 bombs. I think he's at 24 right now, and pushing towards 85, 90 RBI, which is a pretty good season. Now, is he the MVP player that he once was back in his Dodger years? Perhaps not. But do I think that this is a guy that can still hit 270 with 30 bombs and 80 RBIs? Absolutely. I don't see why he can't. So you add that with Judge. Again, Judge is started coming out. I honestly think that once he gets acquainted with the outfield, the offense, it feels surreal. It feels like once the players get a feel from both the field and the batter's box, they almost perform better. I always found that to be so weird. And honestly, it's a necessity to have him play right field so you can keep John Carlos Stanton in the lineup, because obviously I think the all three games in St. Louis, they ran him out of right field. He missed a game because of general soreness. And again, for a guy who really hasn't played that much right field, or just the field in its entirety since 2023, I want to guess, you're gonna have those general soreness and stuff like that. And obviously, you're not gonna put him first and foremost. I don't think the Yankees should run Stanton past 2 games in the outfield. And it's like, oh well, why do you have him there? I'm like, listen, this is what it is at this point. This is what it is at this point. Obviously, with September coming around, you want to try to find spots here and there to get some rest and whatnot. But if Aaron Judge is 90% as far as his fielding ability, because he's so damn good on offense, we forget how much of a stud he is as far as the outfield. He has a cannon of an arm. He's 6'7". He could run down a baseball just as good as any of the outfielders out today. So obviously he's not the fastest one, but for his size and his stature to be able to do what he does on on the field is nothing short but amazing. And again, it's critical to bring him back in the fold. I would probably wait until about September to do that, just to let him get a feel as far as swinging the bat. And I know he's been doing some throwing programs um, before the game, throwing from like 100 feet and things of that nature. But you get Judge back at right field. You push Cody back to center. Uh, I would assume left field will probably be would it be Dominguez? Or it could be a combination of Dominguez. It could be a combination of Caballero. We'll see what the Yankees decide to do with their playoff push. But again, this Yankee team, if they're flying on all cylinders, they could be really, really good offensively. Austin Wells. Austin Wells is another name. He's been downright abysmal the past month or two. He hit two bombs yesterday, and before those two home runs, he was 8 for 66, which is a batting average close to, I want to say, 140 ish. I gotta calculate that, but it's a really bad batting average, and just me saying 8 for 66 will tell you it's not pretty good at all. So yeah, so you get him on the fold. Um, and then you got Ben Rice. There's just so many conversations. There's so many accommodations that the Yankees could do to be good and to have a strong playoff push. It's just all about these players staying healthy, number one, and just finding consistency, which has been the Achilles heel of this Yankee team all year, in my opinion. So um, definitely excited about what I've seen the past 7 days from this Yankee ball club. I'm really excited. And, anytime you watch a Yankees Red Sox series, I said it earlier. It brings an intensity. If those fans they don't like us, we don't care too much about them. At the end of the day, as long as you can see some good baseball and see the Yankees come on top, then it's a win-win for everybody. So I'm just hoping that the Yankees could find a way to just to come off with three. To me, 3 out of 4 is a win. I would love for them to win all 4 games. But again, no matter how erratic Boston's offense has been, it just seems like when they play the Yankees, there's just a different atmosphere. There's a different game plan, and they're trying to whip our asses just like we're trying to whip theirs. So obviously, you got that going for them as far as this rivalry goes and whatnot. Boston is right behind the Yankees for the wild card spot. So you got that. So you got a nice little sandwich there between Boston, Cleveland, and Seattle as far as those wild card positions. And let's not forget, Toronto's been losing. So I know, and I'll be honest. I'm not gonna. I'll eat crow. I'm man enough to say, to admit things when I'm right or wrong. I was on the midst of saying that it was a foregone conclusion for the Yankees to grab the AL East crown, but now I'm like, I forgot what Jim Carrey movie it was, but it was a part where he was like, "So you say there's a chance?" So, listen, guys, hit me up and tell me what Jim Carrey movie that is. So I know I'm saying right. I know I'm being correct about these things. So they're 4 games behind Toronto for the AL East. So again, I know. I think I read something the day before that Vladimir Guerrero went down with an injury, which is a huge loss. Such a vital piece to their offense. But again, you got to take advantage of these games. You know, Boston's in a 3-game losing streak, and right now the Yankees are flying on all cylinders, and you got to be able to take care of business. They're 4 games, big 4-game series. They're all at Yankee Stadium every night between today and Sunday. That crowd, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a ruckus crowd. Again, I gotta find a way to get a ticket to one of those games and just experience that. So my goal is to go to Fenway Park and watch a game. I definitely won't go alone. I'm not. I don't have that much guts, but definitely just to have that experience to go to a game, with my Yankee gear and stuff like that. And for the viewers that are watching this, please don't go to Fenway Park. by yourself with Yankee gear. That's not a smart thing. That's like bringing a knife to a shootout. You can't do that. But this is going to be an exciting week. The Yankees just got to take care of business. I think they got Luis Hill going today. They got Max Fried on the bump tomorrow. I believe it'll be. I believe that follows Will Warren, and I think it would be. Can't be sure. Would it be Rodon? I think it'll be Rodon after that. I keep forgetting the fifth person in that rotation, but definitely when you have Hill, you got Warren, you got Freed. So I think that fourth game will probably be Rodon if I'm not mistaken. So you got your horses out there that's gonna bowl out for you. So definitely excited to see what this 4 game series is about, and could this possibly define the Yankees' playoff fate? We shall see. But again, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks to my pops who called. That was pretty dope. Love you guys. Thank you guys for the support. Please check out my Instagram. I'm always gonna do some small skits here about what to look for in the next episode. I'm working towards a TikTok, so you guys can find me on TikTok if you want to see skits on previous episodes. And if you guys work during the day, watch Sports Talk with Eddie with your dinner at night. Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much.